First of all, more information became available about the recent sabotage outbreak on the territory of the Russian Federation. Recently released satellite footage gave some more insight into the drone attack on the Russian strategic bombers Tu-22M3 in the Novgorod region. As can be seen from the imagery, there is a black trace characteristic of a fire, precisely where several days ago were the bombers. As you can also notice, Russians promptly evacuated their bombers to other airfields because the Russian Federal Security Service failed to catch the saboteurs, which means that they are still possibly operating in the region and are capable of destroying more aircraft. Ukrainian intelligence revealed more information about the strikes as well and claimed that over the last 3 days, Ukrainians destroyed 5 Russian aircraft. When it comes to the front, the biggest news comes from the Orikov direction. Last time I told you that after Ukrainians secured their flanks, they conducted a powerful attack from the north and finally entered Robotyne. Nonetheless, the battle was not over, and the Russians refused to abandon the southern part of the village easily. In order to leverage the key advantage of Western equipment, which is night vision, Ukrainians conducted most of their operations at night. Even though some Russian equipment and forces do have night vision, it is still rather scarce, which allows to dominate Russian detachments at night. Ukrainian fighters from the 47th Brigade mostly conducted their night operations with Bradleys. The assault units we quickly transported to the front line, and then the infantry dissipated and assaulted the village from the flanks. In order to complicate detection even by those Russian units that have the necessary equipment, Ukrainians frequently used smokescreens. The tactic worked extremely well, and Ukrainians quickly pushed Russians from the outer edge of the village. Later, Russian sources published footage that confirmed that Ukrainians are not just present in the central part of the village, but conduct clearing operations, meaning that most of the village became under firm Ukrainian control. Ukrainian fighters also released videos of clearing operations that show how they are moving from house to house, making sure that everything is under control. Sometimes, Ukrainian infantry found it too challenging to clear certain Russian positions, such as isolated houses that required crossing open spaces to clear them. In this case, Ukrainians requested support from mechanized units, which quickly entered Robotyne and fired with machine guns at the main and all supporting Russian fortifications. In under 2 minutes, the sector was cleared, and the Bradleys fired defensive smoke grenades to cover up their exit from the village before the Russian artillery could react. Very soon, the control of the Russian forces over the village shrank even more, and the remaining units decided to abandon the southern part of the village. Nonetheless, Russian sources reported that this was a regular back and forth, and that the village is mostly in the gray zone because the Russian artillery does not allow Ukrainians to enter the southern part of the village. And this is partially true, as Ukrainians indeed could not clear the southern part of the village, from which they were kept away by the constant shelling. The reason why Russian forces maintained such a high intensity of shelling is simple: they were preparing for a counterattack, so ensuring that they could re-enter the village with no hurdles was essential. The counterattack was conducted with the help of the best Russian tanks T-90M. The counterattack was quite powerful, and the Russians even reached the northern part of the village. However, soon, Ukrainian reinforcements arrived, and Russian momentum was stopped. The help came in just in time, as some groups of Ukrainian fighters got cut off and couldn't do anything because they were suppressed by the enemy fire. One Bradley, under the cover of a tank, entered the region and repelled the attack of the Russian infantry. Russian sources also reported that Ukrainians even used aviation in the vicinity of Robotyne, so Ukrainians were determined to hold the newly gained positions.